The camera sitting on your shelf is not what you think it is. The brand you saved up for may be built around a sensor it did not design, assembled in the same factory as its rivals, and priced at 5 to 10 times what it costs to produce. By the end, viewers will know the difference between real engineering and a marketing operation wearing a camera maker costume. Number 1. The camera gathering dust on your shelf may have lost nearly half its value since you bought it. But that's just the surface of the problem. What really matters is what's inside and what's missing. Over the next 10 segments, this investigation will reveal how most cameras are built from the same core components, assembled in the same factories, and sold at wildly different prices through a mix of branding, restricted compatibility, and software-locked features. By the end, every buyer will have a 3-question checklist to separate genuine engineering from marketing tricks. First, the sensor secret. Why your camera's heart may not belong to the brand on the box. In second place, the sensor secret exposes the foundation of the camera industry's pricing illusion. The heart of nearly every major camera, including Nikon, Fujifilm, and Pentax, beats with a Sony sensor, even when the branding on the box tells a different story. Sony commands between 48 and 55% of the global high-end image sensor market, according to Tech Insights and Yole Development. Teardown photographs of flagship models reveal the evidence in plain sight. The Nikon Z9 runs on the IMX609, Fujifilm's X-T4 uses the IMX586, and Pentax's K12 houses the IMX183. These part numbers, etched onto the chips themselves, confirm that what is marketed as bespoke engineering is often just a repackaged Sony core. Only Canon and Sony maintain in-house sensor design, but even Canon's top models rely on Sony's fabrication lines. For most brands, the sensor, the camera's retina, and its most expensive single component comes straight from the same supplier. This reality undermines claims of unique imaging science and justifies none of the price differences seen at retail. When the core hardware is identical, the real differentiator becomes the logo, not the light-gathering power beneath the surface. Third on our list, the global parts pipeline reveals how nearly every camera rolling off the assembly line is built from the same set of sub-assemblies, sourced from a dense network of original equipment manufacturers in Shenzhen and Guangdong. Teardown reports and supplier catalogs confirm the same shutter mechanism, marked SHMOT01, appearing in Canon, Nikon, Sony, and Fujifilm models, with unit costs often under $1. The EVF FPC-A1 Flexboard, made by Canon Technology, surfaces in Sony, Nikon, and Canon bodies, priced below $3 per piece. Main processor printed circuit boards, battery grip modules, and SD card interfaces are routinely supplied by Baiqiancheng Electronic and Shenzhen Shengfeng, with identical part numbers showing up in export records and customs logs. Despite brand-specific exteriors, the internals are largely indistinguishable, assembled from the same bins of parts. This hidden uniformity undercuts the narrative of bespoke engineering, and it sets the stage for the dramatic markup that follows. Number 4 exposes the math behind the price tag. For a mid-tier mirrorless camera, the bill of materials rarely tops $300, sometimes as low as $280, even for models retailing between $1,200 and $2,000. That is a 400 to 500% markup from raw components to the price in store. But the real profit engine is not the body, it is the ecosystem. Accessories like memory cards and battery grips carry margins that dwarf the camera itself, 68% on a branded CF Express card, 87% on a battery grip. Internal spreadsheets confirm that while the camera body brings in a modest 20 to 25% margin, accessories routinely clear 80% or more. A former camera division chief financial officer put it bluntly, accessories drive profit. The body is just the entry ticket. This financial structure explains why so many brands double down on proprietary mounts and compatibility restrictions. Once you are in, every add-on becomes a high-margin sale. Number 5 exposes the ecosystem trap, where proprietary mounts and protocol locks turn every upgrade into a costly obligation. When Canon introduced the RF mount in 2018, it was not just a new lens interface, it was a strategic barrier. By 2022, Canon's firmware updates began restricting third-party autofocus on RF lenses, requiring a proprietary handshake that only Canon-approved manufacturers could implement. Leaked internal memos confirm the move was designed to protect native lens margins and drive migration to the RF system. The financial impact is substantial. A 4-lens RF kit now costs between $3,500 and $10,000 compared to $2,300 for the equivalent EF kit before the transition. The official sunset of EF in 2022 left thousands with stranded glass, lenses that instantly lost value and compatibility. This deliberate policy shift, confirmed by internal documentation and the RF protocol timeline, reveals that the real cost is not in the camera body, but in the ecosystem you are forced to buy into. The lock-in is physical, enforced by mount changes and firmware, and it sets the stage for even more restrictive software gating ahead. Number 6 exposes the firmware suppression playbook, a strategy that shifts the boundaries of what your camera can do, not by changing hardware, but by controlling software. Canon's DSLR bodies, for example, ship with processors and sensors fully capable of advanced features like 14-bit RAW video, focus peaking, and dual ISO shooting. Yet these capabilities remain dormant, hidden behind lines of code. The Magic Lantern project, launched by independent developers in 2009, shattered this illusion by unlocking these very features on consumer-grade Canon cameras. Suddenly, models once limited to basic video modes could record uncompressed RAW, run advanced intervalometers, and perform real-time focus peaking, functions Canon reserved for much pricier models. Internal memos leaked from Canon's firmware division confirm a deliberate policy. Advanced video and high-end functions are feature-gated, not for technical reasons, but to maintain product segmentation and protect higher-margin accessory sales. Official responses threaten to void warranties for any user who installs third-party firmware, underscoring the stakes. The evidence is clear. What separates a $900 body from a $3,900 flagship is often not the hardware, but a line in the firmware that decides what you're allowed to access. Software, not silicon, becomes the gatekeeper, and the price gap persists by design. Number 7. The collapse of the compact camera market rewrote the rules for the entire industry. Between 2010 and 2023, global shipments of dedicated compact cameras fell by a staggering 94%, plummeting from around 30 million units to just 1.8 million. This was not a gentle decline, but an abrupt freefall triggered by the rise of smartphones with high-quality sensors and computational imaging. As the mass market vanished, manufacturers pivoted to premium mirrorless systems, where average wholesale prices soared to $711 by 2025. The shift allowed brands to justify higher margins and focus on enthusiasts willing to pay for features no phone could match. This external shock transformed the camera business from a volume-driven market into a high-margin niche, setting the stage for the aggressive pricing tactics and ecosystem lock-in that now define the industry. Number 8 draws attention to a financial blow that rarely makes it into the sales pitch: depreciation. For most camera bodies, resale value drops between 35% and 50% within just 18 months. That means a $2,000 body often fetches barely $1,100 to $1,300 on the used market after a year and a half, sometimes even less. But the real pain comes when manufacturers abandon a lens mount. The moment Canon officially ended support for the EF mount in 2022, flagship lenses like the EF 24 to 70mm f2.8L lost half their value almost overnight. eBay and KEH price graphs show a $1,900 lens plunging to $950 within months of the announcement. Owners who spent years building up a kit found themselves stranded, with glass that no longer holds its worth or fits new bodies without compromise. For photographers, this is not just a theoretical risk, it is a tangible loss, measured in hundreds or thousands of dollars per upgrade cycle. Number 9 highlights the rare cases where camera makers resist the industry's most exploitative habits. Ricoh's GR2X, for example, is built around a single APS-C sensor and a fixed lens with a bill of materials near $450 and a retail price of $950. That margin is substantial, but it is far below the 400% markups seen elsewhere, and Ricoh's development team openly publishes cost breakdowns, prioritizing image quality over accessory upselling. OM system maintains the Micro Four Thirds mount, unchanged since 2008, so lenses bought over a decade ago still work on new bodies. This continuity means owners are never forced into costly upgrades or left with stranded glass. Fujifilm's X series keeps body margins around 30% and ensures every X mount lens remains compatible across generations. These brands prove that transparent pricing, stable mounts, and modest body margins are not just possible, they are profitable. In a market built on lock-in and hidden markups, Ricoh, OM System, and Fujifilm offer a blueprint for value-focused buyers. And finally, in first place, the verdict is a checklist every camera buyer deserves. Before you spend, demand answers to 3 questions. Who made the sensor inside? Is the lens mount open and future-proof or locked to a single brand? Which features are present in hardware but disabled in firmware? These questions cut through marketing, exposing whether you're buying genuine engineering or just a badge in a walled garden. Demand transparency. Don't pay for secrets. Across all entries, one pattern is clear. The camera market sells commodity parts at luxury premiums, enforced by ecosystem lock-in and deliberate feature suppression. It is less about engineering and more about maintaining margins. For buyers, the real value lies in seeing past the brand and demanding transparency.